Yo guys, welcome to KingPlays, this is King, and welcome to a Ring of Elysium tutorial. In today's video, we're going to be covering how you guys can get a lot more kills in Ring of Elysium, how you guys can get better at shooting, how you guys can generally get more kills and more wins in this game. In this video, we're going to cover gunplay, parachuting, where you should spawn to get the best kills and the best loot. We're going to look at strategies on how you guys can win more and more gunfights, and we're also going to look at cars and how you guys can keep your cool at the end of a game and hopefully come away with more kills and more victories. If you guys do enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like, comment down below which tips helped you the most, and subscribe to this channel for more Ring of Elysium gameplay, videos, live streams, tutorials, and basically all BR content. Make sure you guys do subscribe and turn on post notifications. And once again guys, thank you very much for the continued support on the videos. Now personally, I would not consider myself to be the greatest Ring of Elysium player. On average, when I get to the end of the game, I tend to have at least 10 to 12 kills. My highest kills in solo in Ring of Elysium is 14. I think I've got something like 6 or 7 wins. I'm not the greatest player in the world by any means, but I've played around 3,000 hours of Battle Royale games, and I think I can share that experience with you guys to hopefully make you an all-round better player and allow you guys to enjoy yourself and get a lot more kills in Ring of Elysium. First of all, let's talk about parachuting. The gliding system is very unique to Ring of Elysium. It's a lot different to Fortnite and PUBG. It does share a few similarities. So whenever you're dropping out of the plane, there's 2 steps. You go into your glider. Once your glider has reached a certain distance from the ground, you will then pull up and start gliding in even more slowly. What you want to do is aim for somewhere which is low as possible to the ground. So if you, for example, land on a mountain, you're going to pull up a lot quicker and you're going to lose a lot of speed and you're not going to hit the ground as quickly. But if you aim for low ground, you will definitely be able to get down to the ground faster. So that is tip number 1 on how you guys can get down to the ground faster. Now number 2, as you guys will see, if you basically hold W, which is the traditional way to get to the ground faster in most Battle Royale games, your maximum speed is 117 kilometers per hour. With this method I'm about to show you, you'll be able to hit the ground at 145 kilometers. While you're gliding, basically what you want to do is spam W, and I mean spam it as fast as you possibly can. I'm going to make a sound here. You want to be spamming it as fast as this. You'll be able to see on your screen that your kilometers per hour is rising. Once you get to 144 or 145 kilometers per hour, you want to spam it as quickly as possible and just keep it up to that rate. While you're trying to control your parachute, what I'm normally doing is spamming W and then just pressing D or A to obviously control where I'm landing. Another tip for you guys to get down to the ground quicker, basically what you want to do is choose a location on the map and jump roughly about 1 square or 1.5 squares away from where you want to go. Using this technique of spamming W and landing at the lowest possible point, you should beat absolutely everybody to the ground, which is going to give you more opportunities to get loot quicker, and as you guys know, more loot equals more wins. So now that you guys are landing before absolutely anybody else, let's have a look and see where we should be going to get the most amount of kills. The biggest locations on the map is probably Angel City and Turing City. I personally avoid those areas because of high rooftops, and generally they're just very big and very complicated areas, which makes it difficult to get a lot of kills in quick succession. My personal top 4 places to go is Observatory, Fisher City, Scrapyard, and Ocean Park. So starting with Observatory, if you guys love going to school in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, the Observatory is the place for you. It's a very small compact area. There's not a lot of loot, but there tends to be anywhere up to 10 players landing in that tiny area, and if you can get a gun before anybody else, well, guess what? You're gonna clean house. The only drawback with going to somewhere like Observatory is the surrounding areas is mountainous, and your next point of interest is Turing City. So you can get a lot of kills early on, but you're not really gonna get a lot of good loot, and the areas that follow tend to be a little bit more complicated and harder to get kills through. Going to Fisher City is a great spot because it's pretty central. You're close to the warehouses, you're close to Ocean Park, and you're basically close to almost anywhere in the map. You have a lot of accessibility and you can basically continue the map in any way that you see fit. One of the great things about Fisher City is that there's only 1-story and 2-story buildings, so there's not a lot of complication. You do have the bank around Fisher City, but in terms of complicated gunfights, you're not really having people camping in 3-story buildings on roofs. It's very, very minimal, and it allows you to keep a fairly high pace throughout the beginning of the match, and obviously you can access a lot of other high population areas after that. If you go to Scrapyard, it tends to be a pretty decent area if the plane is going straight there. It shares a similar problem to the observatory. The surrounding areas don't really tend to be that great, and you don't really get a lot of great loot most of the time. It is quite a decent place for getting, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6 kills at the start of the match. It tends to slow down a little bit after that. My top pick for the best place to spawn in this game is without a shadow of a doubt Ocean Park. Ocean Park is a very open area. You get a lot of level 3 spawns there. I would say at least 75% of the time I come out of Ocean Park with at least a level 3 helmet or a level 3 vest with maybe a level 3 backpack. A lot of people do spawn there, and using the technique of spawning in a lot faster, you tend to get a gun before people and you're able to clean house. I think the most kills I've ever had in Ocean Park is 8. It has a lot of great surrounding areas like Whaletown, the bridge. It's a fairly simple travel to places like Fisher City, and you've got quite a lot of open terrain that you can find a lot of people running in. So personally, you get the best loot, and I think overall, if you're trying to get high kill games in Ring of Elysium, Ocean Park is definitely the place to go. So to cover the very basics of shooting in this game, it's a little bit different to PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. In PUBG, whenever you shoot once, your crosshair will reset. In this game, it does not reset, so you have to manually correct your crosshair all the time. If you're using single fire or auto fire, you have to constantly manually correct by pulling down. If you're fighting somebody up close with an SMG, an AK-47, Groza, M4, LV, whichever gun you decide to use, most of the time it's okay to use the shoulder peak Hipfire, which you can do by holding down right mouse button. That will increase your accuracy compared to normal hipfire. Hipfiring is not recommended because really your bullets can go anywhere within your crosshair. By holding down your right mouse button, you're making your shots a lot more accurate, and especially with the SMGs and pistols, you'll have a very tight spread and most of your shots will hit. If somebody is, let's say, 10 plus meters away, it probably is recommended to aim down sights by tapping your right mouse button. A few tips for controlling the recoil. In the game, you've got a vertical grip, which reduces vertical recoil, and you also have a triangular grip, which reduces horizontal recoil. The obvious choice would be to reduce vertical recoil. Personally, I like to use the triangular grip because it eliminates a lot of the horizontal recoil, meaning that you can correct it by pulling straight down, and your shots generally are a lot more accurate by using the triangular grip. That is my personal preference. A lot of you guys might use the vertical grip, but personally, for pulling straight down, I feel like the triangular grip helps out a lot more than the vertical grip does. Whenever you're crouching and hip firing, your shots are more accurate, and whenever you're proning and hip firing, your shots are even more accurate. If you've got an SMG, your shots are almost pinpoint accurate while you're prone, so it's definitely worth keeping in mind that shooting while prone is very accurate while hip firing. If you guys watch me stream, you guys see that almost every close range fight I drop shot. I cannot stress this enough to you guys. Drop shot, drop shot, drop shot. Any close range fight from 5 to 10 meters away, you want to be drop shotting because 1, nobody expects it, and 2, your shots are a lot more accurate when you're on the ground, and it also helps you control the recoil because you're basically pulling your crosshair the whole way down. So you can essentially fully spray without letting go by drop shotting, and honestly it's the most unexpected way to kill people. Almost nobody does it in Ring of Elysium. I feel like I'm one of the only people who drop shots in this game. I'm sure there is people who do it, but nobody has ever drop shotted me, and I feel like I have so much success with it. The only thing to be careful about with drop shotting is if you're in the grass, you can basically completely ruin your visibility and make it really difficult to hit the person because you can't see them. So try to drop shot on flat ground or ground that doesn't have a lot of grassy area around it. And honestly, that's probably my #1 tip on this entire video. Drop shot as much as you possibly can, especially with SMGs and AKs and stuff like that, because you will absolutely shred people up close, and it's something that people really just don't see coming. Another good tip is to crouch while shooting. One of the worst things you can do in any FPS game is stand still and shoot. If you crouch while shooting, you're basically making yourself a moving target, which, you know, makes it harder for the other person to kill you. And if you're able to control your crosshair while crouching and strafing, moving left and right, it makes it very, very difficult. It makes yourself a difficult target, and you're just more likely to win gunfights that way. Another good tip for winning gunfights is the jump flick. Now, when you jump in this game, there's a slight delay. There's a small animation whenever you jump, hit the ground again, and you're not able to pull your gun up for about a second after touching the ground again. So use this sparingly, but if you're in a situation where the guy's spraying you and you need to get away quickly, jump, turn, and then flick your mouse back towards them. And essentially, the momentum of your mouse flicking will send you further horizontally than it would have already. So instead of running and jumping somewhere, run, jump, and flick your mouse while turning it towards your opponent, and it'll send you maybe a few meters further in that direction than it would have already. It's pretty good for getting away from people. It's not something that you would use mid-fight to try to reposition, because the time it takes for you to jump, they probably can just track you with their crosshair, so it's a pretty easy kill if you do that. But if you're in a bit of a tight spot, definitely jump and flick your mouse and you will be able to get away from people and reposition a lot better. Another good tip for winning gunfights is oftentimes if you find somebody in the open, you're going to shoot a couple of shots at them and they're probably going to, run behind cover. As soon as somebody goes behind cover, you want to pull your grenade out and throw it straight at that tree. It basically gives you a free shot on them. They're going to jump away from the tree. Like I said, if you're jumping in midair, the time that it takes them to land on the ground and go through the landing animation, you can probably have them killed 9 out of 10 times just by throwing a grenade at their tree. Waiting for them for a sniper fight or waiting for them to, heal up, it's definitely not the way to go. And pushing people in Ring of Elysium tends to be a little bit risky. It's quite risky pushing people in any kind of battle royale game because whenever somebody's behind cover, they've got desync as an advantage. If you guys don't know what desync means, it's whenever you turn a corner, you'll be able to see somebody before they see you because you turned the corner. So allowing people to turn on you and turn corners on you is really not the way to go. You want to eliminate every possibility that they're going to peek the tree and insta-kill you. So honestly, just chucking that grenade at the tree is going to help you wonders. You guys have seen me carry up to 10 grenades at some points in the match. Use them as much as you possibly can, honestly. Most people do carry grenades because I feel like people are aware of their power. Feel free to use grenades. It might seem like a scumbag way to kill people, but honestly it's better than letting them heal up and eventually getting the jump on you by desyncing you behind the tree. In terms of pushing people behind cover, if you get them down to one shot, I recommend strafing a little bit when you're running. So if you guys are familiar with H1Z1, the ENAS mechanic is a thing in Ring of Elysium. So essentially you can run towards somebody and turn your mouse left, right, left, right. You can flick your mouse side to side and you basically start snaking. So it makes it very difficult for you to be hit. And if you're pushing somebody behind a cover, it kind of creates an unpredictable path. They don't really know which side to peek you. Once you get close enough, obviously decide which angle you're going to take them from. And then, like I said, either Dropshot, crouch, or Hipfire spray them. And you should be able to win more often than not by pushing them like that. Once again, it's not recommended to push people behind cover, but if you need to, and if you're trying to get the kill quickly, ENASing, crouch spamming, and Dropshotting is definitely the way to go. One last thing worth mentioning is Prefiring. So if you, for example, have no grenades, right, and you've shot somebody, he's behind a tree, he's healing up, and you're trying to push and get the kill quickly, you can basically see that their elbow's poking out of one side of the tree if they're about to peek. If you can kind of take a mental note of how long they've been behind the tree and how long it takes to heal up, basically just whenever you see their elbow poking out, it normally means that they're trying to use the peek mechanic. So what you want to do as soon as you see them lining up their elbow is just start shooting that side of the tree, because whenever they peek out, the bullets in this game are projectiles. If you just shoot that side of the tree accurately, you're going to be able to hit them before they're even going to have a chance to react to it, and it should help you win more fights whenever your opponent's behind cover. So if you guys want my opinion on what the best guns are to use, personally I don't like the Groza and I don't like the Vector. I think the best SMG is definitely the MP5. It's the most consistent, it does decent damage, and it's very easy to control. I think the best pistol is the USP45. It does more damage than the Glock, and it's more controllable than the Desert Eagle, and it's just the most reliable gun, especially with an extended mag. The 5.56 weapons, I think the M4 is best. It's got lower recoil whenever you have the tactical stock and the triangular grip. And for the snipers, I think the Remington and the Mosin Nagant are very comparable. Obviously the Remington can have a silencer and an 8x scope, which is somewhat of an advantage, but they're fairly similar in damage. I do believe the Remington does reload a little bit faster than the Mosin Nagant, but having that built-in scope is extremely useful, and personally I use the Mosin Nagant a lot more than I use the Remington. One thing that's worth noting for sure is the G28 is absolutely broken. As far as I'm aware, you can 2-shot people with it, like 1 shot to the helmet and 1 shot to the body. It's an absolutely broken gun, single shot sniper rifle with 10 rounds by default, 20 with an extended mag. If you see that thing, it may be worth trading in an assault rifle for that, and maybe having an SMG or even a Mosin Nagant secondary. I've seen myself running 2 snipers, the G28 and either a Mosin Nagant or the Remington sniper. The G28 is absolutely broken. I do expect them to patch it at some point. And I am going to make a video at some point in the future about how much damage each weapon does and how much protection each piece of armor offers, and give you guys exact values on how much damage each gun does to cars and stuff like that. So make sure you guys do check that out in the near future. I will be making a video specifically going into all the finer details, but today it is more about the kind of generalized tips for this game. So let's talk a little bit about driving in this game. The driving is a little bit weird. It feels very clunky and stuff like that, but definitely driving in this game will help you get more kills. The best vehicle in the game is without a doubt the truck and the Jeep, so you should definitely prioritize getting a truck and the Jeep as much as possible. I believe the little small white car is the fastest in the game. The freewheeler car, I don't even know what it is. It's like an airport car or something. It's horrible. You've no cover whatsoever. Just don't even take it. Honestly, just run before you take that car unless you're trying to get out of the gas or something. But definitely try to prioritize getting either the truck or the Jeep. If you do need to take a small bit of cover behind those, it's a lot easier to take cover than, for example, the smaller cars in the game. However, you should really avoid taking cover behind cars at any cost unless it's an absolute last resort. Usually it takes somebody about a clip and a half, maybe 50 to 60 bullets to destroy a car. Depending on what kind of damage has been done to it so far, it's maybe 40 or 50 bullets to destroy a car. If you guys are trying to shoot people who are driving, I recommend probably just lighting their car up, because once the car starts getting to a certain point, the person will jump out and probably take cover behind a tree or something like that, which will give you a tactical advantage. It will allow you to obviously position yourself in a way to kill them more easily and give yourself the advantage in that gunfight. It goes without saying, park the car away from you so that it doesn't get exploded and you die. If you jump out of the car at full speed, you're going to die, so it's definitely worth keeping in mind. But 100% avoid the white car and avoid the smaller cars at all costs. And if you're going to drive around, definitely use the truck. In the truck, one special thing about it is it's got a bar in the back of the window which covers your head, so people could be shooting right on your head, but the back bar is sponging the bullets for you. So it's by far my favourite vehicle in the game. And finally, we're going to talk about mentality and how you guys can win more games at the end. In my personal opinion, mentality is the most important thing that you guys can possibly have to win any game. Doesn't matter if it's a video game, doesn't matter if it's a sport, doesn't matter if it's a board game. If you have the winning mentality, whoever wants it most, more often than not, will win. So if you have the winning mentality, if you believe in yourself and believe that you're going to win, honestly, you have more of a chance. If you don't believe in yourself and you think you're going to lose and you're panicking, you're probably going to lose, to be perfectly honest with you. Now, the biggest tip that I can give anybody for any sport or any video game is try to identify your own mistakes and try to improve on your own mistakes. So if you notice that your shooting's bad, maybe it's time to change your sensitivity, maybe it's time to work on your shooting, take more gunfights, work out the recoil, work out how to shoot properly. Even if it means that you have to go into an open field and spray the side of a house to work out the recoil, you know, you gotta focus on your weakest points and try to push that forward as much as possible. So like I said, if you're bad at positioning, you need to work on your positioning, make sure that you're not in the open all the time. If you're bad at winning gunfights, practice recoil, make sure that you've got the knowledge and the tools needed to win matches. Just a few tips at the end of the match. It's kind of very general things here about Ring of Elysium and any Battle Royale game. Basically, you don't want to be sitting in the center of the safe zone, in my personal opinion. If I could have it my way, I would be pushing in from the outer side of the circle. In Ring of Elysium, I don't think you necessarily want to be camping in a barn, because you can't really see what's around you so much. The chances are people are all around you. If you're like in a top 5, top 10 situation, and it's quite a small circle, you're right in the middle in a house and everybody's all around you. The first place that somebody's going to look for a person in the final circle is in a house. So if you're in a position behind a rock on the edge of the circle, if you're somewhere where you can, you know, make small pushes into the final circle instead of being right in the middle, you have more of a chance of survival, because you have less chance of getting a grenade thrown for your window, you have less chance of somebody pushing into your house, all that kind of stuff, and you're honestly in a less expected position. Now, a couple of things not to do in Ring of Elysium. Don't be lying down in the grass, because in PUBG obviously you can lie down in the grass, sit in bushes, all that kind of stuff. People tend to expect that, and it's quite easy to see people in bushes, and there really isn't a lot of tall grass and stuff in Ring of Elysium, so you're going to have to play it a little bit differently than PUBG. What you want to do, in my opinion, is kind of time it out a little bit, push as late as you possibly can into the final circle, kind of get an idea of, you know, where the enemies are, take a mental note of how many people are left in the match, eliminate possibilities. So if you see a house, scope it out, see if anybody's there. If it looks like nobody's there, you know, try and look somewhere else. If you hear gunshots, let's say you're in a top 5 situation, it's you, 4 other people, you hear 2 people fighting each other, you automatically know where 2 people are, so you have only 2 other people to account for. Basically try to account for every single person in the final circle and try to work out where they are, and honestly that'll give you the best opportunity to take the win. Like I said, camping in a house is super obvious, you don't want to be doing that. And honestly, if you're camping in a house all game, you're going to be so bored, and you're going to be so, like, your shot's going to be really bad because you've just been sitting there and you're not really warmed up, and you're kind of just, you know, existing in the match instead of taking part in it. So you'll end up getting surprised and shocked, and somebody will turn the corner and spray you down at the end of the match. It tends to be better players at the end, so chances are somebody's going to run into your house and spray you down. So I don't recommend camping in buildings too much at the end. Definitely try and take a wall or some kind of cover where the safe zone's at your back. You want to be in a position where you know that nobody can be behind you and that you've got some kind of cover from all sides. Now, you're not always fortunate enough to get that kind of situation, So honestly, you just have to kind of do the best with what you've got. If you've got a tree, take a tree. I mentioned earlier about grenades. Grenades are extremely important, and they're such an easy way to win at the end of a match. If you can chuck a couple of grenades at the last guy behind a tree, it's an easy way to get him out of his cover, and it'll honestly take a lot of pressure off you, and it'll take a lot of pressure off the fight. If you get really, really nervous at the end of Battle Royale games, whether it be Fortnite, H1Z1, PUBG, or Ring of Elysium, and you just can't control yourself, your hands are shaking, you're sweating, your heart's racing. I remember whenever I won my first Battle Royale, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. Basically, the best thing you can do is just take deep breaths. Honestly, try it, take deep breaths. Once you start feeling the pressure coming on, just take 5 deep breaths. Just count it out, 5 deep breaths. Slow your heart rate down. Whenever your heart rate's going really, really fast and you're shaking and jittery, your brain can't function properly whenever you're in a state of panic, so you just need to calm yourself down, take some deep breaths. It's not the end of the world if you lose. There'll always be another chance. There will always be another chance. Don't make it a life or death situation. Just try and stay calm. Like I said, deep breaths. Try and get a good position. Try to account for where everybody is. And honestly, everything else will come down to your gun skill and, how lucky you are. Winning a Battle Royale is in some part luck. Nobody wins a Battle Royale purely for skill. You have to be a little bit lucky to win a BR game. So if RNGesus is on your side, and you can stay calm, collected, and work on your positioning, you've got as good a chance as anybody to win the match. But guys, that's it. Thank you very much for watching this video. I know it probably went into about 20 minutes or so. If you guys are still here, be sure to leave a like. And I'd love to hear from you guys. I live stream on YouTube every single day. Please subscribe. Come say hello in the live stream. I'd love to hear from you guys and see if you guys got any better from watching this tutorial. It would be really interesting to hear from you guys. So definitely pop in, say hello in the live stream, leave a sub, all that kind of stuff. Turn on notifications. Buy my merch, send me an email, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Instagram, visit my Reddit page. You guys know. You guys know what to do. But that's it. Thank you very much for watching the video. This has been KingPlayz. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. And once again, I did say at the start of the video, leave a comment down below letting me know which tip in this video helped you the most. And hopefully I'll see you guys in the next live stream.
Drop it. It's okay to say that we expect. It's Hoodie Allen. What up, Marina? You know how we do. They telling me to take the safe route. This is the detour. Hoodie, baby, you ain't seen a kid like this before.